So this is a take that I did not think would be controversial. A while back there was the 23rd anniversary for Band Geeks and Idiot Box, like the anniversary of them airing for the first time, and people had some very interesting takes. Hey! Now, for very long, Band Geeks has been regarded as the best SpongeBob episodes by the community. Not saying I agree, but that it was definitely the most popular one, and the one that the most people would point to as their favorite episode. And I guess some folks were not happy with that. Just search for Band Geeks Overrated on Twitter and it's everywhere. Now, overrated is an interesting word, firstly because it's hard to say, but it's also technically meaning that in this scenario you could use that word and still think it's the second best episode, just not the best episode, which is what everyone is like claiming, you know. But by the looks of stuff, that's not what people were saying. I think that Band Geeks is probably the best SpongeBob episode, looking at it as objectively as possible. The story, the comedy and the song number all combines into what I consider to be a perfect episode. But it's not my favorite episode. Probably in my top 5, if not 3, but I don't think it's the funniest SpongeBob episode, and I value comedy very, very highly in my rankings, and I think there are a couple of episodes that I consider to be funnier. Which is why I think basically every post-movie episode is after basically every pre-movie episode, but that's for another video, or like every other video. At some point, I gotta think there is some wannabe contrarian stuff going on here. Popular thing, bad type beat, you know. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible to not think Band Geeks is all that and to even dislike it. But how are you a SpongeBob fan and like not a fan of Band Geeks? There are multiple of these types of videos about Band Geeks on YouTube. Of course, also videos praising the episode, which is probably what led to these videos being made in the first place, as kind of responses to how popular the episode is.
In this scene, some characters are holding their instruments, but then all of a sudden, they're not. Okay, for instance, Pearl's playing what looks like a giant saxophone. Yet in this scene, she is not holding any instrument. Also, how did Pearl go from being placed in the 4th row to the first one?
This is just grapple. This episode bad because
if we're underwater, how could there be a...
Band Geeks has a lot of great things going for it. Firstly, just how many characters it utilizes. The Sweet Victory performance at the end is amazing for many reasons, but one of the biggest ones to me is how these are like all the main characters in the show performing in a band together. Band Geeks reminds me a little bit of Culture Shock from season 1, where the whole cast is gathered at the Krusty Krab for a talent show.
And now, poetry by Gary.
Meow, meow, meow. He has such a way with words.
But instead of them going one by one, they are all on stage together and performing this just amazing song. Like Sweet Victory, sonically, is just great. I gotta give a big shout out to David Glenn Isley and Bob Kulick. The song is older than the show, but it fits so perfectly into the episode, it was like the perfect pick. But Band Geeks is so much more than just its ending scene. I said earlier that it's not one of the funniest episodes of the whole show, which is the reason why I wouldn't consider it to be my personal favorite, but that's not saying that Band Geeks is not hilarious, cause it is.
I have a theory. People talk loud when they want to act smart, right?
Correct!
Band Geeks is in season 2, so I mean, it's gonna be funny, but it's definitely in the upper echelon of the season when it comes to comedy.
How many of you have played musical instruments before?
Do instruments of torture count?
No.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either.
Let's just start with the mayonnaise line, cause surprisingly, that's controversial nowadays. Look, The line is funny. Not the funniest of the episode, but it's a good joke. This joke was actually brought back in a recent episode, and the funniest thing ever happened. Someone made the point about the show milking old jokes in new episodes by saying SpongeBob trying to bring back the 67th old joke in new episodes. And then someone tells him that he's stuffing words into Steven Hillenburg's mouth. Like, you can't make this up. Bro said they're milking an old joke, and now he's putting words into an old man. That's not the right. A dead man's mouth. I do not feel comfortable laughing before saying that. I just messed up my words. That's why I laughed. When the fact that he didn't mention Hillenburg was pointed out, this was the response. Sure. But yeah, is mayonnaise an instrument isn't the best joke in the episode. There are many better ones, and this is the best joke, by the way.
Whoever's the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on.
There are so many other good lines and gags and just fun situations in general.
Flag twirlers, let's move! Come on, move!
The characters don't just come together for the performance, and all of them are in this rehearsal building for most of the episode, and there's so many fun interactions. Like, this is probably one of the funniest scenes of the season.
Kicking? Oh, I want to do some kicking!
Why, you? What?
But somehow, it's the story of this episode that gets the most flack, at least nowadays. Now, I like Band Geeks for a lot of things, and the story might be its strongest side. Watching Squidward in this episode is so, like, cathartic.
Yeah, we're with the pet hospital down the street, and I understand you have a dying animal on the premises.
Like, we watch him put his band together, struggle really hard, become depressed, and give up.
Well, you did it. You took my one chance at happiness and crushed it. Crushed it into little tiny bite-sized pieces.
And then his friends come together and put on the performance of a lifetime, letting him defeat his childhood bully and just find happiness. It's beautiful.